we can turn Mars from this into this. So let's talk about it. In order to make Mars look more like Earth, we are going to terraform it. Or basically, in its definition, make it look more like Earth. And you may be thinking, Siona, what the heck? You can't make Mars like Earth. That's just not possible. And my response is that we can. And the key word is the magnetosphere. Our magnetosphere on Earth protects Earth from a lot of things that we don't even realize. It protects us from cosmic winds, solar failures, solar radiation, all that jazz that could basically kill us. And due to Mars's inactivity of their iron core, they lack a magnetosphere, meaning that they are subjected to all this. In a recent paper published called How to Create a Magnetosphere, an Artificial Magnetosphere on Mars, it details the specific method how we're going to do this. Basically, we're going to try to create a giant ring around Mars. And while it looks like I'm trying to give an air hug right now, I'm just trying to show exactly how giant this solenoid loop will be. These loops are going to be made out of solenoids, which are a type of electromagnet. And if you send an electric current through them, they actually exert magnetic properties. The benefits of using an electromagnet includes that we can actually control how much force do we want exerted by our solenoid loop, so it can be a much more controlled process rather than stacking a bunch of magnets and trying to see how it works. Our loop is hollow, so it has less mass. Therefore, this giant ring around Mars does not weigh that much and can rotate in geostationary orbit. Which brings me to our next point. This solenoid loop will be placed in geostationary orbit due to it being able to stay in its position, and it won't be knocked off course or trajectory, and we won't have to worry about it completely wiping out or demolishing Mars. We are going to power this solenoid loop to basically create this magnetic field all around Mars by utilizing a process that actually a black hole uses. So while this black hole is like gulping away at the entire galaxy like a little Pac-Man and eating everything up, it actually doesn't consume everything. As like parts of it, it actually ejects matter. And this matter is like highly charged molecules and particles, and they can actually be used for this energy source. So basically, we're going to try to do something similar with one of Mars's moons. We take this energy from ejected matter from one of Mars's moons, we take our solenoid loop, and we take a plasma wave to create a magnetic field. So we're going to inject it into the solenoid loop, the energy, and we use plasma waves to control the amount of magnetic field. You may be wondering, like, Siona, that actually sounds like it uses a lot of power. And you are true. That will require 10 to the 17 joules of energy. And we can create this energy actually by utilizing a process that we all know of, nuclear fusion. With our solenoid loops, we have two options. Either we can create this giant artificially charged ring all across the diameter of Mars. We can actually create two smaller rings. They still are giant and they go around Mars, but they won't be as big, and we can therefore control the process more. Granted, this is going to require a lot more effort on the engineering front, and there are still a bunch of kinks to work out. But needless to say, this is a cool concept to even consider. We have created a concept on trying to create a magnetosphere on Mars. How cool is that? We can one day just say, oh, I went on vacation to Mars. More importantly, we need to look at colonizing Mars as a real option in the future when we start running out of room for the human race. We are going to eventually see problems that we just don't have room on Earth for the growing human population. And as our population exponentially increases, we're just not going to have room and we're going to face problems. So looking at colonizing Mars and making it a permanent settlement will be especially helpful to account for this growing population problem. And while this may be a little far out of a problem, magnetospheres are also a little bit of a far out concept, and that we can use both these. Now that we know the problem and the solution, we can tackle this in the future to come. So look out, because Mars may become the new Earth.